Let's get more details on those damaging winds now with Sky News Weather Presenter James Preston. James, g'day. Just how widespread is this severe weather?
And Stevie, across Friday, it has encapsulated the entirety of Tasmania. So extreme stuff here. And we can see some of the impacts of those winds pushing through. It's not just, unfortunately, those two fatalities that we've seen, but also widespread damage across the state, including in Burnie, where we've seen signage and also actual bricks being pulled away from a building, debris onto the street. In Wynyard, we've had telegraph poles snapped in half. And of course, in Devonport, we've had entire trees uprooted from the ground and toppled over. So it's been extremely strong throughout the day. Multiple instances of wind gusts over 100 kilometres per hour. So throughout Friday, this was the scene that we were seeing. We're still going to have a little bit of that occurring overnight and into Saturday morning as well. So that's something to keep an eye on too. But if we take a look at some of those maximum wind gusts across Friday, Mount Wellington 130 kilometres per hour, Strawn 104, Launceston at 109, Devonport 102 for example, and of course at some of those islands surrounding Tasmania, even stronger wind gusts. Now this is a little unusual one because we haven't had, at least it looks like, a great deal of rain, but there are flooding concerns flooding about too. So 24 hours up until 9 a.m. on Friday, this was the totals that we were seeing. And then, of course, across Friday itself, nowhere near as much rainfall. But with that said, we still have a watch and act level flooding event here for the River Derwent around the Meadowbank area. So that is, of course, a bit of a concern overnight. It should ease overall, but of course, as part of those winds, it hasn't just been Tasmania, it's also been onto the mainland of Australia. You can see here, really whipping up those seas around Cape Conran in Victoria. So some of the maximum wind gusts across Friday throughout the mainland, Robe in South Australia, 70 kilometres per hour, Horsham at 69, Mount William 120, and then of course over in New South Wales, Goulburn, often very windy, 76 kilometre per hour maximum wind gusts. So very strong stuff. Of course, all of that is due to this big cold front that is sweeping through. It is leaving, so that's the good news. This will die down into Saturday morning, Stevie.
Yeah, it's not just the winds down south causing issues. We're seeing some fires further up north.
Yeah, of course, it has been another busy day for emergency services personnel, not just with those winds and the flooding, but also fires, as you mentioned, up into Queensland. So this one out towards Bundaberg, it's under control at the moment. The one we have been paying close attention to on Friday is, of course, this one here in the orange marker. That is the Horse Camp and Doughboy fire, still at a watch and act level, and that's largely between Bullman Road, Tableland Road and Grass Tree Road. So of course the advice has been to prepare to leave for those impacted by that fire. It is being fueled by very high temperatures across the board in Queensland. So these are the maximums across Friday itself, and where that fire is out towards Bundaberg, for example, we are seeing some pretty strong stuff there up into the 30s, and of course Longreach really scorching, hit a top of 42 degrees. That also brings me to the generalised heat that we've seen for northern parts of the country. Heat wave warnings in place for parts of the NT and also northern locations throughout Queensland. So very warm indeed. And across Saturday, we're going to see some more elevated fire dangers for Queensland, Stevie.
Yes, James, there's plenty happening, isn't there? Between all of this, we're on storm watch.
Yeah, it's all occurring and it has started to kick off as well, those storms. So we've had a severe storm warning a little earlier this afternoon impacting around the Roma region and a little further to the west. We can see it here in Alliance. So you see all these lightning strikes picking up. There you go, around Roma and then pushing across. That's going to continue for the rest of the afternoon as well. So gradually making its way out towards the east. Should die down by about 11 p.m. potentially. But with that said, the chance of these storms occurring in the yellow and then red more likely, still continuing into the latter hours of Friday night. So pretty intense stuff. Not a great deal of wet weather with this system either, so that's a concern because we could have those dry lightning strikes sparking up some more fires. Don't want to see that given all the activity that is already occurring on the east coast. And of course, just lastly, taking a look at the Saturday forecast, very warm once again for the southeast of Queensland. Brisbane up to a top of 32. Sydney looking like a beautiful beach day as well. Sunny with a top of 29. A couple of showers on the cards for Melbourne, Hobart and Adelaide. Temperatures around average for Perth. And of course for the top end, very warm, but we could see a shower for Darwin.
James, thank you very much for that.